Hi everyone, JJ here. Welcome back to the Johnston Lounge. Well, today we've got more Tesla woes. The sales crash in Europe seems to be deepening. I don't know how low it can go. We've also got a story about the bricked Powerwalls, which people in the comments have been telling me about, saying I should do a story on it. So here we are. Powerwalls bricked. There's a class action lawsuit. What is going on? So we will look at that. And we can see here the story from Europe. This is for November. So it's the latest registrations, which is a proxy for sales. Tesla sales continue to fall in Europe last month, but there are a few bright spots. Well, not many, and there are, some reasons for that. The self-proclaimed weakest market continued to look weak in November as sales mostly kept dropping year over year across European countries, including Sweden, France, and Spain, Reuters reports. So this graph is based on that. We can see that they did have actually a good month in Norway and in Italy. But you can see the rest of these countries here, Sweden, France, Denmark, Portugal, Netherlands, really serious drops. So how long can this continue? They're really losing market share there. Let's dig a little deeper here. However, there were a couple of notable bright spots for Tesla, which has suffered due to strong competition and an aging lineup. Well, that's not the only reason. As we know, it's Elon Musk politics. It's definitely had an impact in Europe, right? Documented that over many months, and this is the result. In Norway, as customers face the end of certain EV subsidies, that's the case in the US too, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see the next results in the US when those EV tax credits have ended. Tesla sales jumped 175% in Norway in November and about 35% for the first 9 months of 2025. Meanwhile, in Italy, sales increased 58% year on year after declining for 6 months. From January to November, Tesla sales fell 28% there. So here in the Reuters article, they do touch on this politics situation. Slowdown follows Musk comments on politics. More than comments, I've just looked at his X timeline today for things that he's saying at the moment, and he continues. I was going to show some of it here, but frankly, I don't want to show it here, what he's saying. Quite racist things over and over, really getting deeper and deeper into it. He says that he's not a racist, he's not a fascist, but the things that he's saying on a daily basis, I know a lot of people aren't looking at it. You get served it up if you're on X, but some of the things just incredible. It goes deeper and deeper into it. So this is surely not going to help sales, you'd think. The company's slowdown in Europe began late last year after CEO Elon Musk publicly praised right-wing political figures, setting off protests across the region, which I covered extensively here. There really were, and quite a lot in Europe. They really get it. They do not like what Elon Musk is doing, even supporting the AfD party in Germany, which is one of the most far-right parties since the Second World War. Although he says it's centrist, right? In November, a large fire at a Tesla dealership in southern France prompted investigators to launch a criminal probe. Yes, I do remember images from that. Musk has toned down political commentary since stepping down from the US Department of Government Efficiency, but Tesla's European business has not recovered. Well, I disagree with that. He hasn't really toned it down. He's stepped away from Doge and US politics, but as I said, the stuff that he says there on a daily basis is really more than questionable, and people must be seeing that. Tesla novelty fades amid growing competition. And this is something that Michael Burry said. Yesterday's video was about this. Michael Burry calls Tesla ridiculously overvalued and knocks tech industry for widely used practice. And there he's talking about dilution, shareholder dilution, but he also talked about competition in cars. But you'll see that Tesla retail investors in particular, the Elongelicals, as I call them, really just dismiss all that. It doesn't matter about the cars anymore, bro. It's not about the cars. but the sales matter. They still really do until they can generate some other revenue from these other bets like robots, robotaxis. Elon's pivoted to robotaxis and then to AI and robots, which Michael Burry did talk about. That, he's pivoting away. Don't look at this. Don't look at this. Well, we are going to look at this because it still matters. And there'll be no hiding from it in the earnings call and the earnings results. And if they try to hide it somehow, analysts pointed to growing competition in a crowded European market, especially from new entrants from China and Tesla's aging lineup. Consumer sentiment has weakened, they say, data analytics and advisory firm Escalent said in a study seen by Reuters that 38% of respondents to a survey in Europe's 5 largest car markets feel the brand's novelty has worn off and it trails competitors on design, quality, and emotional appeal. Well, they haven't got new designs. They've refreshed the Model Y, which has been a big seller, but they really haven't brought out new models. They're just sort of keeping with it. It's sort of like the iPhone, I guess you could say. Supporters would say, well, why change it? They haven't changed the iPhone much. It's successful, but cars really aren't like that. People do like refreshed designs. Many European buyers are also increasingly choosing hybrid cars over fully electric models. November sales at Chinese EV maker BYD, and I think this is really the crux of the matter in terms of competition, which, unlike Tesla, also sells hybrids and plug-in hybrids, jumped 268% and 65% in the Netherlands, their best month on record in the country. And it seems like every month they're going up and up. They're exporting to Europe, really selling a lot of EVs there. That's the competition. Where I live in New Zealand and in Australia too, the BYD cars there, there really is competition. Maybe people in the US don't see it much because, they obviously don't have Chinese cars there and the tariffs, but they are growing in number in other places. A new, cheaper Model Y. While Musk spent much of this year focused on Tesla's robotics pursuits and winning shareholder approval for his $1 trillion pay package, his brand tried to win back buyers by launching a refreshed Model Y earlier this year. Yes, he has spent time on robotics. Look over here, it's the robots. He's talked about a robot army that he wants to influence. That's why he needs the $1 trillion pay package. It all makes sense, right? It all fits together. Look at the future. It's all about robots. We're going to produce so many. The car sales don't matter as much. Well, I don't think he said that actually. It's more about robotaxis, ramping those up. But that isn't going particularly well, you'd have to say. Sales of the Model Y, which in 2023 was Europe's best-selling model, dropped by 67% in Sweden, 62% in the Netherlands, 55% in Portugal, and 74% in Denmark. They jumped 19% in Norway, and I don't know if that's going to last. Tesla struggles to course correct from sales skid. So this was in late November. Tesla faces sales pressure in Europe, China, and the US. So it's not just in Europe. And as I said, it's going to be really interesting when the earnings come out to see what the figures were like after those EV tax credits stopped in the US. European sales fell 48.5% in October. So, as I said, continuing to go down. And they note here Tesla's competition includes Chinese newcomers, improved EVs from legacy players. And of course, Europe does have strong legacy players. You'll see a lot of videos that are US centric, just talking about the US market or focusing on that, but it's not the only market. And there's definitely intense competition in China, of course. Right, now let's move on to this story about the Powerwalls, a brick. I've got a video here to show which will explain it a little bit rather than just reading it all out. Tesla faces class action over Powerwall recall that leaves people with bricked batteries. Can you believe that? So Electric says here Tesla's poorly handled Powerwall 2 recall is now turning into a potential class action lawsuit for leaving people with bricked batteries until Tesla replaces them. let's get straight to the video because this bit explains it well. So this is from Ben Alexander.
So let's start with the basics. Tesla recalled about 10,500 Powerwall 2 units in the US, and units built between late 2020 and the end of 2022. So they're only a few years old, and after it turned out that the battery cells inside of them from a third-party supplier had a defect that could cause overheating, there were 22 overheating incidents, including 6 cases of smoke, 5 actual fires reported. So thankfully, no injuries, but still a home battery system overheating next to people's living rooms or bathrooms. It's not something that you mess around with. It is.
Oh, that's a difficult situation. Like potential fires here. This is, these are serious units to have inside your house, inside a garage, mostly if they've got it right, or outside the garage.
Very, very serious. So Tesla did what Tesla usually does. They pushed out an over-the-air fix, except this one wasn't a fix. They remotely drained the batteries to zero and then locked them. You might think that's just safe, but it gets the plot thickens really. Basically, switched them off, and a lot of people woke up, checked their Tesla app, and instead of that nice little green battery icon, they were greeted with a very big grey square that said the system has been disabled for their safety. Owners suddenly had no backup power, no storage, and in some cases higher electricity bills because their whole home energy storage system relied on that Powerwall. So that is where this gets messy. A class action has now been filed. It's called Brown v. Tesla Inc. And the argument is basically this. Tesla knowingly sold a defective product, disabled it remotely without offering immediate replacement, and then left customers with what is essentially an expensive wall decoration for a very long time. This, for many, many months, they just haven't fixed them still.
Wow, so Tesla leaving people high and dry here for months, and now this lawsuit, another lawsuit. There are multiple lawsuits, about FSD, autopilot, but also now this Powerwall that some people have had bricked, obviously, a lot of people.
One of the quotes from the complaint says it perfectly. Rather than immediately providing any sort of refund at all, even a partial refund or prompt replacement within a month or 2 or even 3 or 4 months, Tesla basically just turned them off and they've done nothing about it. So in other words, your battery might catch fire, so we've turned it into a brick and good luck. So we're not going to do anything about it. Many, many months later, and there's nothing, no word from Tesla. They've not really explained what they're going to do about it. To be fair, Tesla isn't the only company in the world facing battery safety issues. Lithium-ion thermal runaway is very well documented. We all know about this. But the problem here is that the replacement program has not become active. They've not really done anything about it. So according to the lawsuit, homeowners are being told to wait many, many months for new units. Some people have not even been contacted back. Some installers have gone out of business.
Wow, so it goes on and on there. So I'm going to put a link to this video in the description, by the way, wherever you're watching or listening to this, if you want to see the rest of this, because it's a longer video, but we get the idea here that it's a lawsuit going on, and Tesla has been less than forthcoming about fixing this issue by the sound of it. And as he said at the beginning of this, you wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a bigger story. And I'm reporting on it. I think it should be a bigger story. So let me know what you think about either of these two stories. European car sales registrations continuing to go down. Where is the end to that? And will it matter for Tesla's financials? It's got to, right? I mean, they had a boost in the US from that EV tax credit, people rushing to buy, or supposedly before that ended, and now it has ended. So what's it going to be like? And Elon can only say, look over here, look over here. There's no money coming in from the robots. There's no robo-taxis making money. It's rideshare with somebody in the driver's seat in the Bay Area. And in Austin, somebody in the passenger seat of the car, they get away with that, but they're not making money out of that. So where is this money going to come from? I did say yesterday that prompted a comment about this when I said that, power storage is going well. That's the other bright spot. And then we have this. Well, maybe it's not going so well, and this is not a good look. So more woes for Tesla. Michael Burry shorting it. He's come out now and said that he's actually shorting it again. And I had a look on X, and people are sort of panning Michael Burry, saying that he hasn't been right. The last time he said Tesla was too expensive, the stock, he was wrong. The thing is that he wasn't wrong. But what happened was he stopped shorting it. It was going up. 2021, it really ramped up, and that's when he had the short on. And then it peaked at the end of 2021, and all through 2022, it went down and went down more than 70%. I saw Stephen Mark Ryan, his video. He was criticizing Michael Burry for getting it wrong, but he did not mention that it went down 70% straight after that. Yes, Michael Burry got the timing wrong, but shorting is hard, and he wasn't wrong directionally. It did go down. Will he be correct this time, especially if this kind of news continues of crashing sales? Now, Powerwall problems. So let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'd really like to know what you think about either of these two issues. And right now, I'm going to put a related link on screen on YouTube. If you're watching on there, do go and see that now if you want to. And there'll be related links in the description and the show notes area on Spotify and on YouTube and elsewhere. But those are the two video platforms, Spotify and YouTube. Watch and follow along on Spotify if you're not over there and you do use it. Then you can pick and choose where to watch it. I'll also put a subscribe link on screen on YouTube. And thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.